Amazing. So just bear with me for a second, because sometimes these technologies.
This is one of the challenges of remote collaboration, right? Technology.
I mean, when you are with your small team, people do have a little more of empathy, but when you have an audience, you're just nervous and all the little things. So please bear with us. Some empathy, it's probably the key element. No, this is not what I want to share.
Maybe while Luna is checking the tech details, everyone could introduce themselves in the chat, tell them where you're logging in from, what do you do? That would be really nice.
Thank you, Carol. Okay, so let's go. Enjoy the video.
Design is leadership.
In recent years, we've begun to see that the most successful organizations are the ones that infuse their business with design at the core.
In our 12-week program, you will hear from and interact with some of the world's most highly regarded design and innovation leaders from across the globe. Our exclusive masterclass sessions will give you insights into how design leaders think and act in order to elevate design in their own organizations to deliver exceptional outcomes.
You will participate in more hands-on workshops with design leaders from your region, in which you will deep dive into some of the theory and practical activities behind the masterclass topics.
The Design Leadership Program is for those who want to learn how to manage and grow their team, develop their design vision, act as an advocate and catalyst for design within their organization, and generally navigate the challenging yet rewarding world of design leadership. We know that the realm of design is constantly evolving.
Our biggest goal is to help you develop the skills needed to become a great design leader who can continue to navigate the ever-changing world of business and society over the next decade.
We hope to see you in Season 2 of the Design Leadership Program.
Amazing. Oopsies.
With Grammarly, you can find really good.
What about the rest? Where are you from? Where are you joining from?
Here we are. Can you still hear anything from the background? No.
No, all good.
Oh, perfect. So, hi everyone, welcome. This is a fire session hosted by Echoes and Design Leadership Program. My name is Luna. I'm the program manager for Echoes Design Leadership Program. And I'm here with Carol today, hosting Adriana and Mariana for us to talk about facilitating collaborative design in remote environments. As Carolina said, please, meanwhile, introduce yourselves, tell us where you're coming from, what kind of design you do. I am super curious to know where you are, because at this moment we have Carol in Berlin, Mariana in Milan, and Adriana, I don't know if you're in Geneva, if you're in France, and I'm in the US. So just among the four of us, we're already pretty much all over the world. Echoes is an independent global innovation lab driven by design. We have 3 business models. It's called the School of Design Thinking, which is who is hosting the fire session today. We also have Echoes Innovation Projects and Ventures. We help business create value and innovate for good. We're helping people and organizations master the innovation mindset, skills, and tools. We're global. As I said earlier, Adriana, we are not only in Portugal, but also in Italy, Australia, Brazil. I'm here in the United States and hoping to expand even more. In the past few years, we already graduated over 40,000 professionals in our present studios when we had it in Rio and in Sao Paulo, and over 70,000 people in our online courses. And we helped over 150 companies and more coming up on board this year. We are part of the Global Design Thinking Alliance. We are the only innovation lab part of the Global Design Thinking Alliance. It's such an honor to be a part of, among with these giants doing research and designing. It's just absolutely amazing. And Echo Design Leadership Program, we are starting in less than a month. So this is literally like the last 3 weeks before we launched the course, the second season. Carol and I were together in the previous cohort last year. We were colleagues, we were studying together. And now she's our ambassador. It's a 12-week program. It's quite intense. There's a lot of content. We have people from all over the world bringing their perspectives on design, talking about what is the skill set that it's pretty much necessary for us to elevate the maturity of design, but also in so many levels to still articulate and evangelize design within companies. This is a journey map. And pretty much the way we organize it was dividing it, the understanding or the concept of design leadership into 4 spheres. So it's a lot about you and yourself. When you're talking about you as a leader, you need to understand who you are. Therefore, you'll be able to deliver whatever kind of outcome, being that you and others, the way you highlight and help the people that you're leading to excel in their career. It's a lot about you and your outcomes within the products and the services that you are designing. And it is a lot, if not mostly, about you and the system. So pretty much all your stakeholders and anyone and anything that your deliverables will be impacting. This is a little bit of our lineup. We still have a few people that we'll be announcing this week that is joining us for the second season. The lineup always change from one season to the next. We are trying to bring as many different names and perspectives as we can. And again, it starts on May 9th. So 3 weeks from now, it's a 12-week program. So it goes until August the 3rd. I'm the one who you'll be talking to most likely, unless you are talking with my colleague, Rafael. But if you have any questions, or if you simply want to talk about design leadership, where the world is going, please don't hesitate to email me or talk to me on LinkedIn. I'll be super happy to hop on a call with you. And Carol, I'll leave the stage for you to host them. Thank you so much for being here. And I'm just going to listen to you guys.
Awesome. All right. Thank you, Luna, for presenting Echoes. And again, thank you, Echoes, for hosting this session, right? I took part on the first cohort last year on the Design Leadership Program, and I can highly recommend it. We had some really interesting learnings, thoughts, and talks with the experts during the classes, and it was really, really awesome. And before I give the mic to Mariana and Adriana, let me first quickly introduce myself as well. So thank you again for joining. For me, it's this evening, but for some of you, it's probably this morning still. So thank you again for joining. I am Carolina. I'm the head of product design at CoachUp. We are a startup from Berlin providing business coaching for companies worldwide. We offer our product already everywhere. And I currently lead a team of designers with 18 people from about 15 different countries, based on 5 different countries. So we are, our main headquarters are in Berlin and Paris, but we have designers also spread around Europe. So a lot of remote collaboration happens on a daily basis. And again, thank you so much for joining. Maybe Luna, if you could go to the next slide, because then I would actually ask Mariana and Adriana to not only introduce themselves, but also tell us a little bit about where and how do you experience remote work. Maybe we can start with Mariana.
Thank you so much for having me today. I'm really excited. So I'm Mariana Ozaki. I live in Italy now, in Milan. I work as a senior product and service designer at Everly, which is a company / service / product that delivers groceries for customers in general. So our main is to have like a problem-free of delivering groceries, not having to think about parking or queues, etc. And also I'm EMEA director for Ladies That UX, so responsible for the chapters and helping the chapters to grow here in the region of Europe, Middle East, and Africa.
Thank you, Mariana. Adriana?
Good, thank you so much. Well, it's very nice to be here in the session. Thanks so much, Luna and Carol, for the invite. And I'm looking forward also to hear the experiences, because Carol, as you were mentioning, with all of this team of designers all spread around the world, working remotely, I think that, yeah, there's a lot also to learn also from my side. I am Innovation Coordinator at the International Trade Center. This is an entity between the United Nations and the World Trade Organization. And we do trade-related technical assistance. So we have a very, very specific mandate on supporting businesses, so small and medium-sized enterprises in developing countries, so that they can become more competitive and export, and also well to sell their services in national, regional, and international markets. And the Innovation Lab team, it's a team that works mainly in fostering the internal capacity of innovation across teams in the organization. Just to let you know, we are about 1,000 people organization. It's spread across the globe. Our main headquarters is in Geneva, Switzerland, and there we are about 400 people. We had been transitioning, as all of us know, during the pandemic to remote work. So it's been quite a change for us. And also from the Innovation Lab, it would be very interesting to talk a bit about this experience, what it meant for us, and share with you also. Thanks.
Awesome. Thank you, girls, for introducing a little bit about your background and experience. I am curious now to hear, you already mentioned a little bit, Adriana, about how you experience remote work, especially in the last 2 years, like most of us, right? But I'm curious to hear from the both of you, how do you experience remote work, right? What are the circumstances where you experience that, how it is on a daily basis for you to work remotely with your team? Maybe if you want to start, Adriana.
Sure. So we are at the moment, we're in a transition. So we are going now around 3 days a week to the office, the rest of the time remotely. But before that, the past month, we were going 2 days a week. And then before that, we were completely remote. So yeah, we have been transitioning when there were the confinements, we were on and off, we were transitioning from 100% remotely to being a bit like some days at the office. This has meant a very big change for us as an organization, and especially an international organization, a UN entity, because we used to be 100% at the office, and we used to have a lot of travel. So definitely that's one of the things that was impacted and has changed the most. I don't think that it's the worst of the consequences, because environmentally wise, I think that we all appreciate that there is less travel. But yeah, we have realized that we can do more workshops, trainings. We do a lot of capacity building on trainings for businesses, and we have realized that we can do them online. We had previously already a team working on e-learning, like it's called the SME Trade Academy. It provides courses on trade and these subjects for enterprises, but they were pretty much the only ones doing it. Now we are, many teams are doing it more, and definitely it's going to increase. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing, Adriana. Mariana, maybe you would like to talk a little bit about how it is your experience with remote work?
Yeah, sure. So I think for many of us, it always started after the pandemic hit in 2020. And then after that, during the pandemic, actually, I started to work remotely, but like forced to be remotely as anyone else. Today at Everly, everyone, like most part of the employees are actually have a remote contract. So now I'm full remote. And the difference is like commuting, obviously for everyone, and also it's a little bit of challenging to also facilitate workshops that I used to do in person. That is completely different. Like, for example, obviously you can see the difference when it comes like to understanding body language and looks, how people behave. So it's quite like, it depends also if people are sharing their cameras, if their cameras are on. So like the feeling is quite different, but I think most part of the people that I worked with, they actually enjoy being remote, also because we're not forced to go to the office. Until now, we don't have a policy of like going 2 days or 3 days at the office. So everyone's kind of free. But we actually choose to go like once a week to see each other, because actually I started in this company 7 months ago. So it's also nice to see how people are and to talk in person with the people that we used to see only on screen. So this is also amazing.
Yes, very, very true. It's very interesting that you have two different experiences, right? One is full remote, the other is going back to the office. I myself am more in the side of Mariana as well, not fully remote, but we say hybrid, right? So I can basically choose when I go to the office. And it's also very interesting because I joined the Coach Hub 2 years ago on the second or third week of lockdown. So it was everything remote and no one knew what to do, right? It was a little bit fuzzy at that time, and onboarding, everything was fully remotely back then. And I remember it took me, I think, like 2 or 3 months to actually meet the team in person in the office. And there was always that jokes of like, oh, you're taller than I thought, or like, oh, you're a little bit shorter than I expected, and things like that, right? Because you're just so used to seeing people in the screen and it's so different, right? But yes, maybe we can move on a little bit. Mariana, you already started going in this direction, and I would love to hear from the both of you. What are the main challenges that you faced or that you continue to face? And maybe also not only in the remote phase, but then Adriana, maybe you can also talk a little bit about the going back to and the main differences as well, right? Mariana, would you like to continue?
Yes, sure. So I think, at least for me, the main challenges are separating the spaces between work and personal life, because it's easier to like already start working, and this is a thing that I really have to practice and train myself to do. Like, for example, now, since I don't have to go to the office, I like to start my day a little bit earlier, so to do like a physical activity, workouts, and be ready for the day. So this is a thing that I didn't have the opportunity of doing before, because everything's like being in a rush, going to the office and get ready, makeup, clothes, etc., and pick everything to put in the backpack to go to the office. Now I don't have to think about it anymore. So as I said previously, I think the main challenge is to like engage people, because I really enjoy doing like and facilitating workshops in general. So it's also part of my job. And I think it's very challenging to like read the room, especially when you just started a new job, for example, in my case, to understand how people react and how they behave, and if they are interested or not, if they're engaged. So I think this is a completely different feeling, because obviously if you're between like two facilitators in a workshop, for example, and then you have the time to, I don't know, say something to the person or write and say, like, you can read the people in general and let them know how you're feeling, like, do you think this kind of activity is going to, do you think, does it work for going next? Let's skip it, let's not. So thinking about this is completely different, like doing online. So we have to do like a previous preparation much more than doing in person, I think.
I can so relate to that, right? I think one of the first things that I had to organize myself is to have two screens, because then you can have whatever tool you're using, right? Whether if it's a presentation or a Miro board or Figma or etc., and another screen where you can see the crew, right? So that you can try to keep up with the energy levels and other things, right? Because it's different. You have to have more breaks because it's exhausting. You have Zoom fatigue, right? And all of those as well. Cool. And also, I would also love to invite everyone to add in the chat as well challenges that you've been facing. If you've been facing a remote work, would be really nice to hear also what you have experienced. And maybe Adriana, would you like to share a little bit of your challenges?
Yeah, sure. I am also reading what people are putting in the chat, and it's quite interesting. Definitely the channel of communication has been one of the, if not say challenges, at least big learning for us, because we adopted across the board MS Teams as many organizations, but not everybody was onboarded to the tool before we went all remotely. So that was one of the things, you know, to get used to all work with MS Teams and then do our calls there, and realizing that it's not probably is not the tool that works the best depending on where you are in the world. So for some calls, of course, Zoom was working better, or some other tools. That was another thing, you know, that depending on with whom you were speaking, if there was another organization, everybody was pretty much using another one different tool. So you have to use the learning of new tools. You know, it's just like high speed on the. As soon as we passed to the remote environment, you had to really learn. Okay, there are a bunch of new tools that we now can use. That was one of them. The other one that I would mention, it's also the onboarding, the engagement, as Mariana well mentioned, and onboarding more people to our Innovation Lab activities, because the way how we work internally in the organization, it's really doing outreach and having people who are working on different teams contributing to our initiatives. So it's pretty much, we have some people working full-time or part-time in our activities, but most of the people doing the actual work or leading are volunteers who are working on different teams. So we did it because we didn't want to be the ones, you know, the team working on innovation in an isolated way, but more with an integration with different teams. But that was an additional challenge. You know, how are we going to onboard new people? How are we going to do the outreach and engage them and teach? Well, not teach, but make them aware that we have this mission, and then that they grasp what we want to do with the innovation work, that it's pretty much, it's a creative process. No, so I can relate to what Mariana was mentioning of the facilitating workshops, not being able to read a lot the audience when you were doing workshops. That was really difficult, and we had to shift to do shorter sessions, doing really dynamic, yes, but having, of course, the onboarding to, for example, Mural or Miro before the session, asking the people if they were familiarized with it before, so we are not going to use, you know, some time during the session to the full onboarding and then lose the momentum of all the energy that we intended to create. So that's another one. And yeah, those ones are the ones that I can mention like as highlights. Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, it's definitely, I also can relate with that. You have to train people sometimes into the tools that you were using before, right? Because not everyone is used to, like us designers, we are usually more used to these types of tools and things like that. But not everyone is, right? And especially in workshops where you have people from different departments or different areas of the company, you usually have to give a little training or at least spare a little moment to talk about how the tool works and make sure everyone is at the same page during the workshop. Awesome. I wanted to go a little bit deeper on the challenges of working remotely, but also now shifting a little bit to leadership, right? As leads, what do you think are the biggest challenges to lead a project or to lead people when you do that remotely? Adriana, maybe you want to start?
Yeah, it's not a simple question. Definitely, when leading a team, you definitely need to look at, I would say it's first how the different people in the team communicate, no? Because when you are in an in-person environment, yeah, it is easier to read the communication of like every person. I mean, how they prefer to communicate. If they're more like in a body expression, yeah, they're more focused on body expressions, you know, like when they're on trying to understand your message, or if they're just extroverts, they're highly talkative, or if they are more like in reflective mode. So when you are doing that remotely, I think that the level of observation and attention to even how people communicate, it should be there. And I know it's hard because in a remote environment, your attention span, it's smaller, no? You have way more things that can distract you when you are connected in a session. So I think that would be one of them. And also try to use other mechanisms to engage people. So what we, for example, try to do with the getting more people on board for the innovation lab, for instance, just as an example, it was to create new sessions that we call open coffees virtually, and to use the new tools that we were seeing now that were popping out, this Wonder Me, for example. We use it to do like a meetup, spontaneous meetups with people where we did different teams, and they could ask the persons in one bubble about, I don't know, what is the innovation lab, the activities, or their experience with different sessions. So we created this type of dynamics that were more appropriate to the remote work that we were at the moment fully embedded in. So yeah, that's what I can mention, and yeah, I'll leave Mariana to complement.
Thank you, Adriana. Actually, I was going to say about the coffee breaks together, because I think this is very necessary as well, because like working remotely, we kind of lose that kind of sense, you know, when you go to the office and then everyone is in the coffee machine waiting for having a coffee, and then starting to talk, what about your weekend? What have you done? What are you working on right now? So we kind of lose these spontaneous moments. So I think this is very necessary. But also, yeah, I think the challenge is also to see how people are doing actually, because not seeing people in person, I think the challenge is not being able to read everything that they are doing, or if they are saying, because sometimes we can also like pretend that everything's okay when things are not. So like to have this sense of understanding how to read the room, and etc. And I think also it's important, as I said before, having these spontaneous moments. I think it's perfect.
Yes. Adriana, would you like to add something to that?
Yes, I wanted to compliment, because I think that it's very important what you just said, Marianne, about the mental health component of it, that we all realized during the pandemic. I think that we became more empathic. I would like to think, at least, that we are paying more attention to that. And I think it's very important to just ask people and colleagues. I had colleagues who would just ask me, via text. How was I doing? How was I feeling just in the day? Just like that. And these are things that we didn't used to do in like an in-person environment, and in a remote environment, it's really crucial to do. Yeah.
Yes, it's very, very true, right? When you don't have exactly what Mariana said, right? When you don't have that coffee break, or you can just simply have a chit chat in between work with your colleagues next in the desk next door, or like in the other room or something like that. It's different, right? You don't get the vibe and the energy of each person. You have to actively seek for it and ask for it. And if the person is not willing to share it, then you have a question mark there, right? And I also can see here some challenges that everyone is writing in the channel, like internet connection. I also experience with my team and with peers as well, people that have family and sometimes they just have to take care of their children while they're in a meeting. I'm guessing everyone here has been in a meeting where there was someone sometime with a baby on or with a cat walking over the computer or things like that, right? It happens. And that also brings us the need for more empathy, right? We have to understand that these things happened, that sometimes the computer break, it happened to me 2 weeks ago. I just couldn't share my screen. I just couldn't, and I needed to run a workshop and all of that. So you have to find ways, and everyone has to understand that, right? Mariana?
Yeah, sure. Just to complement that, because I was actually thinking about, like, in the same way that it's easier to pretend when we are only working like remotely and online, to not show what we're doing and etc. At the same time, I feel like this moment is also to be like more human and humanize everything. Like, for example, parents, when the kids are crying, the same thing that you said, Carol, or the cats and the dogs barking in the background, or I don't know, here in Italy, we have a lot of churches. So like when the bells ringing. So this kind of thing that we see others, not like super professionals or superhuman beings, superheroes, as we see at the office, all dressed up, etc. But we can see also this human side of people, like being more vulnerable now. And I think also because of the pandemic that everyone was at home. Now the reality changed a little bit, but everyone was at home. So like your baby, your dog, and your cat, and this church and the bell. So I think people feel that it's like, it's normal, it's okay. Like if you have a delivery and you have to pick up, or if you have to go downstairs or to talk to someone, I think it's, yeah, I think it brought also these human feelings that we are also people, that we are working from home or whatever, like even like further places, far away from home. I think it's also like, for me, also remote gave me a sense of like kind of freedom, because, for example, for 3 years, I haven't like said this before, but I'm actually Brazilian. For 3 years, I wasn't able to go to Brazil, and working remotely gave me this possibility of not having to take vacations, like to work from there as well. So I think this was amazing. Was like the first time that I could work. I don't know why. Like I understand why, but I don't know why in the other companies the context was completely different, that we couldn't have the possibility of doing this, working from other places and different time zones, the same way that we're doing now. Like Luna is in the US, we're in Europe. So yeah.
That is very true, right? Also for me, I'm looking forward to working from home or back home, right? And that is a really nice opportunity. I also have one team member now that is currently working from South Korea for 3 months because she went back to see her family. I have one that last week went to Argentina, and it's also going to work from there for a month, right? Of course, that adds more challenges, like managing time zones, right? Sometimes that's complicated. This morning, even we had a small workshop, and in this team member that is in Argentina logged in, and it was 5 a.m. for her, right? Because we couldn't find another slot. So you have to be flexible, and you have to try to do the best for everyone, but everyone in some moments will also have to be open to do a little bit of sacrifice or work in different times and things like that as well, right? Maybe if we go a little bit, move forward then now to the third question, I wanted to hear also from you things that you've implemented or things that you've done within your teams during this remote working, and also now for hybrid working, that you believe have improved collaboration, or even the tips on what not to do, right? What did not went well, and like, don't do it. It's better to do something different. What have you been doing to improve and engage the teams in collaborating more, even when remotely? Adriana, you want to go first?
Yeah, sure. So one of the things that we have done to engage more people in general beyond the lab is to start with using the random coffee. You know, there are these random coffee tools where you will get people just like registering to the tool, and then they would tell if by next Thursday you would be available, and you would be up for meeting 2 random people and to discuss informal subjects. That's one of the things that we have been doing, and we have realized that it really helped, especially during the completely remote period of time. And now that we are back, we are planning to pass to a hybrid format, and also going one step further and incorporating maybe some elements of knowledge sharing, like formally talking about the projects, or incorporating themes that are more like word centered. So including a bit more formality to the conversation, because we know that there is already a basis of interaction there between people. So yeah, that's one of the things. And I would also mention that, well, during the pandemic and then being fully remote, what we experienced is that even if we had to all pass to work remotely, that gave us the opportunity to engage with more colleagues who are working on projects around the globe that we usually weren't used to talk to. So that there are, projects in Asia or in East Africa or West Africa. You know about the projects, but you don't talk necessarily to the project teams, because we are like a project-based organization. Each project works on its own, so it's like different islands working separately. So what we did was basically to create events like an innovation fair, for example, where we would gather what each team is doing in an innovative way and put it together, and then create this interaction where everybody in the different projects would come to a common platform. No, that's one of the things that we intend to maintain now. And we really want the interactions to be more hybrid than coming back to 100% in person. So definitely hybrid, it's going to be more prevalent now going back. And in the design process, of course, that we would need to incorporate that element, because I mean, people at ITC, we are all over the world, and just engaging people in one location, that means that of course you are excluding the rest. And for us, we shifted the objective, and now all of the initiatives that we would do are going to involve even people in the organizing teams from different locations. Now at the lab, we are having people now, for example, in Mexico, in Nigeria. So we are working across. Now we are expanding also the way we work, and we intend to maintain it. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing, Adriana. Mariana, would you like to add anything?
Yeah, sure. I think what had worked, at least for me, it will be like having these recurring moments and meetings with people in general, even if we don't have anything like project related to say. to keep these moments to talk and to have some alignment of like even what people are doing. So in the design team and Everly, actually, we have 2 moments during the week. One is for sharing everything that we do during the week and what we're going to do in the next. But also if we have other like topics related, it's also nice to have this moment, and also having like one-to-ones with other people in general, I think is also very useful, that I really think it works. Apart from that, obviously people are not obligated to turn on their cameras, but I think it's also very nice to have it so you can see like the facial expressions and how people are reacting when they are talking to you, because sometimes when the cameras are off, people might think that maybe they are not interested, or they are not there, they are doing something else, or like working or reading and answering an email. So I think this part is actually a positive thing, that previously in the other company that I was working for, we were not turning on our cameras. So it can also lead to lack of communication, and like also leads also a space to interpret other things that people might have been doing, like for example, if they're paying attention to the meeting and to be present. I think it really helps to see, like, obviously the goal is not to see what people are doing, but like the same way that we do when we do meetings in person, when some people they have to answering an email, they take their phones to look a message. Like, it's normal, it's part of what we do as human beings. But also if we don't do this, if we don't turn our cameras, I think it's hard to also read the room. So yeah, I think it works. Yeah, that's it.
I can echo that so much, because I know a lot of people that work and they tell me, like, I have friends that they tell me, no, in my company, we don't turn on the camera. And for me, if the camera is not on, it's a lot easier for me to zoom off. I completely turn off. It's like as if I'm hearing the radio talking, you know, people talking about something, and I completely turn it off. So I need the camera. It's easier for us to build rapport with whoever is it that we are interacting, right? Because we are seeing, okay, we are not seeing the body language, but at least facial expressions and other things we can still see, right? And it definitely makes it a lot easier. But of course, you also have to respect individualities, right? Maybe the person is in a room that they don't feel comfortable showing. Okay, Zoom and other tools are creating fake backgrounds and things like that support in that, but it's complicated, right? We have to have the empathy that we were talking about before as well, to understand and to respect people's individualities in that sense as well, right? Adriana?
Yes, no, you made me think about something particular that I just thought right now. Actually, I hadn't reflected on it before, but is that this fact that sometimes when you are in a call, I honestly completely agree with the fact of having the camera turned off and on being a key factor for distraction or not. Yeah, when I have it off, for me, it's super easy to just think about or start to do something else. But then sometimes when I am, for example, bilateral meetings, we have both with the other person, the camera is turned on, but we start to give the updates. And at the same time, we do work that needs to be done. Like, for example, we need to send an email to this person. Okay, let me just send it right now. So actually, I am doing like more on the being more effective also in the meetings. While it's, even if it's done remotely, it's something that I am not sure that it would happen the same way if we were in person. You know, we would be just talking and then writing the points and then, okay, I'm going to do this later. Whereas in a remote environment, sometimes these meetings are super effective because we are doing it at the same time. And we're like, okay, let's do that. Okay, it's done.
That is
Yeah, so that's something really
true.
nice.
Yes, and I also wanted to challenge you a little bit on these remote coffee chats and things like that. And the reason why I want to challenge that is because I observed a huge shift in my company in these last 2 years. Right after I joined, right at the beginning of the pandemic, everyone was starting to work remotely. We used to have first daily coffee chats. There was a meeting in the calendar that was daily, 15 minutes for the team. Whoever wanted to join for coffee chats. Then, and sometimes once a week or once every other week, we had lunch together, right? So we launched in the screen, literally. And then those daily meetings became twice a week, and then once a week. And then nobody else was joining. And there was always that, oh, I would love to join, but I really don't want to be in the screen right now. I want to enjoy the sun outside, or etc. And that completely changed. And now you schedule coffee chats with people if you're not going to the office from time to time. Now and then, right? Oh, I wanted to talk to someone. Then you go there, invite that person, and then create the meeting, right? So in the end, the coffee chat also became a meeting, which can be good and bad, right? And I wanted to hear a little bit from you if you've experienced that, if you noticed that as well, or how is it for you in that?
Yeah, completely. I think that with with our experiment with the random coffee, we experienced exactly the same thing in the months that we were completely remote. Then people were very engaged, and now that we are coming back to the office, then the engagement has decreased substantially. So even we are thinking, that's why we are thinking about changing the format of the coffees, and then give them a possibility to do them in person. Telling them, yeah, you can just register for the next one, but just have it in person. You know, you don't have to have it as a call remotely. But then having these combined with another format that has like some substance, like some content related to work that is not necessarily, is not related to your work specifically, but it's something that it would be interesting for you to know about others' work. So yes, that's why we thought about changing it, because completely we experienced the same thing.
Mariana, how about you?
Yeah, I think it's very interesting, the daily coffee that you said, Carol. I really would love to implement that, but it's not everyone that starts the day at the same time. But it will be amazing to chat with others, like being remotely. But like we have like a slot of half an hour, 1 hour, where we have this coffee break, but it's not everyone that joins. Like me, actually, if I'm completely full of work, it's in the middle of the afternoon, I don't have like time to stop and to stop my brain, to stop thinking, and then going back to the flow that I was working on. So sometimes I skip, like most part of the coffee breaks I actually skip. But it's a very nice moment where people also share personal news and also other things that they were doing, like courses, etc. Yeah, and I think it's nice to have these spontaneous moments. Like I need to practice this more. But I would like to have also the coffee breaks, like right when we start the day, because actually this is how it is when we go to the office. Like every time that I go to the office, the first thing here is like, do you want to have a coffee? And before the daily starts, it's also very nice. So really great idea.
Yeah, let us know, keep us posted on if it works or if it becomes a thing, right? Because for us it became a thing and then it completely vanished again. And to sum up, we are almost at the end of our hour. I wanted to invite you to also share some final thoughts on how has been remote collaboration for you. How do you see that moving forward also as designers, as leaders, as people who interact with different teams, remote teams, and people from all over the world? Would love to hear a little bit from you. Maybe Adriana, if you want to start.
Sure. Yeah, well, I think that in general, I would say that, well, the pandemic has changed completely the landscape of work, the work environment in institutions. In a personal note, I would see that the way of working, as you know, before 2020 is shouldn't come back, no, as the normal that we knew. Well, we have a new normal, and then I think that we have learned good things about, you know, remote or hybrid work environments. We should take advantage of the learnings of this period of time. And even across sectors, you know, these practices were normally practices that mostly the private sector was practicing, or that we're seeing in some sectors more than others, in some professions, no, more like freelancers or so. I think that now across the board, we across sectors, we need to think about hybrid remote work environments like in a new way, because it brings advantages, huge advantages, for also in the part of inclusion, no, inclusion of team members, diverse team members. And just I think that it makes sense for organizations, for the missions. It makes it more rich. It doesn't mean that it's going to be the easiest, because we're still in the period of transition, and I think that there are a lot of practice or new habits that we would need to develop, and then we would need to be more ready or adapt in a way to the new environment. So I feel that we are still in transition and that we are still learning from this. But definitely I have seen that people are more connected to the human side of things, you know, that this has made us more empathic, more like inclined to get, you know, to know coworkers or engage with coworkers in a deeper level, which is excellent. And hopefully that's going to also reflect in the way we design services and products. So no, I am glad, and I'm always looking at the future with a positive outlook. And I think that would be my last thought on the subject.
All right. Thank you so much, Adriana. And also, before I give the mic to Mariana, I would also invite everyone, if you have any questions, to write them in the chat so that we can also approach them in the last few minutes as well. Mariana, would you like to share your thoughts?
Yeah, sure. I believe that in a personal level, I really love the possibility of working remotely, especially because now I have more time to dedicate to other things. Also taking care of myself, mental health, physical health. So it's amazing to have more time and not thinking to like leave my house before 8, and then taking the metro is gonna be full. I'm gonna be all stressed. And also I used to travel a lot, like for work reasons. So life was completely different. On the other side, I'm super curious to see how this new normal will be, if it's going to be like a new normal, let's say, or how the companies are going to behave in the future, since people are, I've been seeing that actually companies are trying to take back to office, taking people to go to the office and working in person, because I feel that most part of the employees actually they wanted to go, but at the same time they want to have more freedom, which is also my case. So I actually don't know how to to say like I prefer this or that. For some levels, personal levels, I prefer to work from home, but also to have the possibility of going to the office whenever I want. So I think it's also an opportunity for having more diversity, as Adriana said, because it's also very important not to be like blocked and hiring people from only one location, but also to have more people and people from different backgrounds. So I think it's a very nice opportunity to understand other point of views, other backgrounds, and bringing this to design and to innovation. This is a very great value to bring. And then also, I don't know, I keep thinking about the future and how it's gonna be if companies are going to go back to the office, everyone, or there are still going to be more and more job opportunities for people who want to work remotely and traveling. I don't know. I'm just curious and wonder how it's gonna be.
So yes, I guess we are all curious, right? Same for me. I also wanted to ask Luna, how do you think things will go from here? I mean, you work at Ecos, which is a global company as well, also with people in Australia, in the US, in Brazil, in Europe as well. What are your thoughts on remote work?
I'm quite biased because I've been a nomad for the past 12 years. I worked with Adriana before. I like the idea of keeping the freedom, but I see how much value it can bring to us as professionals, but also to the projects and the teams that we work together by being in the same place. Ecos, we are 100% remote, and I'm pretty sure we will never hire people to go back to an office. But actually, in a month from now, they're going to have a gathering in Brazil for the first time after I don't know how many years. So we are trying to do that, not necessarily for people to be working together in an office, but just to have that interaction that we are trying to replicate by having coffee time or whatever other meetings when you are working together. Like Adriana said, okay, let's just be sending emails together and just have that environment, which I do a lot. And I truly believe makes me more efficient in specific moments during the weeks. But I do see a lot of opportunities by us as humans to have the discipline of working at home, because the learning curve, it's necessary. So even though not at some point we do go back to the office, just by maybe investing a couple more years in learning how to create that discipline and working together and balancing life, it forces us to be more human with ourselves and to be more empathetic towards others. So I feel like we're not there yet, because I don't know if we actually established that empathy. So for me personally, I would love for us to be like this for a while, just to see the shift being created. So then when we are going back, we actually know from a matter of fact what we could take from working in person and working remotely.
You touched a very important topic here, right? Because a lot of remote working also relies on trust, right? You're not seeing your peer or your employee sitting in their desk working. And I personally know many people that they felt like if they weren't in the desk, their boss would complain that they weren't working, right? Because they were just grabbing a coffee in the kitchen. And I know companies that had created full-time call where the employees needed to be logged in to prove that they were working at the beginning of the pandemic, right? And that does not make sense at all, right? We really need to trust people, and that comes with maturity of the companies, of the managers, of the leaders, not only in their employees, but in the culture of the company. That, right, people are responsible and they will do their work. If it's from 8 to 5, from 9 to 6, or from 1 in the afternoon to 10 in the evening, right? What really matters in the end is the value that they deliver, right? Awesome. So thank you so much, girls, for joining. Thank you, Luna and Ecos, for hosting. I hope everyone had enjoyed our talk today. I also want to remember, I saw a lot of people at the beginning that also added that they are either new leads or they want to become a lead. We will also have a fire session on the challenges of becoming a design lead in the next few weeks. So take a look again into Echo's website, because it will happen in, I don't remember if it's next week or the week after, but we'll also touch that topic. So if you're interested, join us again. Right. Luna, back to you.
Thank you, Carol. Yeah, I wish I knew exactly the date, but right now I'm managing 12 of these conversations, and they are all very diverse, from design and education, design and communication, design and arts, design and environment. So we are trying to talk about design leadership from a broad perspective, so we can understand what the theme is from multiple speakers, people from all over the world, so we can create more of that empathy, broaden our perspectives of how we see the world. It's always so insightful, and a lot of opportunities for us to learn from other people. At least in my case, I really do love that. And back to design leadership, it starts in 3 weeks. So it's literally the last opportunity for people to sign up. If you have any questions regarding the theme itself or the structure, I will be so very happy to talk to you. This is my email right here. And for those who are joining us today, we do have a special discount for 15% off. I would love to make this happen. I know it's such a big opportunity to be engaged with not only the global masterclass speakers, but also we are bringing regional speakers to contextualize the theme to a more local perspective, because that's very much important. Countries and regions, they have different levels in design maturity. So it's important for us to know how to tangibilize those themes according to our own realities. There's an ebook. This is the ebook from last season. And I know that within 2 weeks, we are releasing the second version of the ebook. So for those who haven't yet downloaded, I would do that because then you're going to be reminded when the second version comes up before the beginning of the course. And that's all for today. Thank you so much, Mariana, Adriana, Carol, Adri. It was so good to see you after so long. Mariana, pleasure meeting you finally in person. And Carol, it's always such a pleasure to be with you. You are the best.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And I hope everyone has a nice evening or a nice rest of the day. Enjoy. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye, everyone.